It's Marianne Goldweber, professional medium and owner of a Village personal and spiritual development center in Cleveland, Ohio, coming to you live tonight for my Wednesday night video podcast that we call Marianne's House. So today we're in the development center. It is hot out there today, and I would love to sit outside, but I'd probably melt. Not that I could afford not to lose a few pounds, but anyway, so we're coming for you to you for tonight from the development center. It was really interesting because this morning, when I was sitting in my morning meditation, the ancestors came through. And so when I say that, everything on the other side is like this collective of things that used to be people, whether they're ancestors or guides or our relatives. And they were coming as this collective voice stating that they really wanted to have a dialogue tonight between me translating that into language for you guys. So this is what I do, is channeling. And this isn't with any necessarily direction to anyone in general. It's for all of us, okay? So all of this wisdom that they wanted to share with you tonight is because we're in the midst of, the roads are diverging, things are changing, and they want us to work smarter, not harder. But they're very hard working behind the scenes, trying to get us, to find new directions. Okay. Now, even though I teach you guys how it works and all of that, I'm hyper developed. I've been doing this work a long time. And even though, I try to teach you how to trust your inner knowing, that belongs to your guides and relatives, that it still is sometimes muffled by our own inner chatter, or the chatter of, the day, people, situations, and you can't always hear it clearly. This is why I do this work. So I can clear up that and give you a more direct message until you get to a place where you're really learning to trust your own inner guidance and who that is. So anyway, so tonight they really wanted to just share some wisdom from over there. And I always like to precursor it because, the other side, these are words that we've used to label these things. So the divinity is not away from us. It's actually around us all the time. And it's just that we are here in this human reality, in a physical body. And once we get plunked down into this human body, we forget that we come from a place on the, over there. And we took this mission or this life, and there's a lot of purpose to it. Okay. It's not just one big burning purpose. Every experience that we create is helping us, learn and evolve and develop. And then, we're working and teaching simultaneously to creating these experiences in our world. But right now, there's a lot going on where there's a lot of change coming, and it's a good thing, okay? And right now, there's some astrological things going on that are just complicating communication. It's revealing truths like crazy. Things that we can't ignore it once we know it's happening. So anyway, so they want you to work smarter, not harder. And so your ancestors and relatives are coming through tonight to give you this wisdom, not just for you, but for all of us. Okay. So when this body fails and we go back to that place, it's like home. Think of it like that's NASA and we're on the space station. Okay. So when this body fails, which it's going to, okay, we leave the body and we go back and we look at the whole life. We look at who we were and how we affected this world. And, quite often it shows you like some holes in your theory that you go, my God, I was ignorant about some things, or I left it in a bad way, or in a way where nobody was prepared, So their wisdom, now they see the total journey. So they see the whole purpose why they were here. how they left this world, how they affected you, how they affected the world in general. And now with that new wisdom, okay, they're not just your people. They're actually souls that have had millions of lifetimes. And they come as our people to make us comfortable, okay? So they all took a role, some were your dad, some were your grandpa, some of them are guides, so all these roles that they've taken, now they're really like the sum of all the lifetimes they've ever had, but they're coming as your ancestors and relatives so that it's familiar to you, okay? But we keep thinking about them as people, okay? The flawed humans that were here, okay? They've transcended that, okay? They know way more than we do, okay? It's so funny because, when my grandfather got to the other side, he got to see how he was limited in this lifetime, and he taught those limited things to my father, okay? And so what they're helping us do is break these generational things and helping us be better than our people that went before us. So with this new wisdom that they have, the hard part is, guys, is we're not supposed to just be able to ring them up anytime we want. That's not how this works. We have free will. They're not allowed to interfere in that. And so they came collectively to say, there's some things we want whoever watches this to know. Now, I will, if you're open, okay, you need to put a comment on there saying, yes, do me or me. And that way, because I can't do this without your permission, okay? So I'll talk to your relatives, and again, you might know this is your grandpa, but unless you say me, I'm not allowed to direct anything at you directly. This is for all of us, okay? So in my work, I work with very specific things on the other side that are what we call guides or ancestors, okay? And that, because, in my journey, part of this is that I came here to help the world as it was awakening, okay? And I was told that, okay? I was told that concretely. And I used to joke and say, well, can't I just go on Oprah and awaken the world? And they're like, no, this is really one person at a time. So every road I've taken, every experience I've had, everything that I've done in this lifetime has been building a toolbox so that I can hand those to other people, okay? So this is why when we're in session together and you're facing something, like I said, I work holistically, so I'm the spiritual body, but sometimes people need things to unpack some of this human stuff, so we refer you, not refer you specifically, but suggest that, you get practitioners to help you with the emotional mental body or the physical body, so that we can get them all working together. And so anyway, so that's what I do. Okay. Now I work with my own specific things, but tonight it was just this whole collective of everybody's ancestors. I have no idea who they belong to until we start talking to them. But what they really wanted you to know is that we're working harder, not smarter. And they cannot manifest these new things in our world if we're not clearing the road. So it's our job to remove the blocks to these new things arriving or appearing. Okay, so this is why, creating order in our life, not subscribing to things that are draining us, whether it's physically, emotionally, financially, or otherwise, and how we can start, walking in the directions of bringing healing to this world. We all have a skill. We all have talents that we bring to the table. And no matter where you're planted, so, even when I was working in corporate, okay, I was helping people. Okay, I was helping people through a situation. I learned a lot in that time about what people face and, what goes on in our world and in these systems. But no matter where I've been, it's always been a service industry where I'm helping someone through something. Okay, that's been my entire career, all of them. Okay, and I've worn many costumes. I've worked in many industries. Okay, and then so this is why my service work has always been in helping people get resources or helping people get on their feet so that they can start being successful, productive, happy, and that's what we're doing. So we're healing this world. We're building bridges. We're We're lifting each other up so that we can find new and better ways to make this world inclusive and fair, and so we all thrive. So everybody thrives. And that's kind of the premise of what a village is it's interdependent. Everybody brings a talent in a village. We all bring something to the table that helps sustain the whole. So, for instance, if I was in a village, I'm an herbalist. I'm an elder. I am a seer. So I help heal people in not in necessarily a physical way, but it's helping bring people awareness or messages so that they can take the ball and run with it. Okay, that's what we're doing tonight. So I'm so grateful for all of you guys on here today. So this is like what I do in a channeling event. So when I'm in a channeling event, it's a set group of people in the room, and I communicate. I take that telepathic information and I translate it into language for people directly. Okay, it looks random, but it's not. But the beauty of being in the group together is that we all get to hear the messages. So the universe isn't going to keep repeating themselves. If somebody's dealing with fear, they'll direct it at one person, but any of us who experience fear, who can benefit from that message, that's for you too. So that's why I want you to have a pen and paper tonight if you have one, and take notes, because the things you're going to hear are really powerful. And, these are people that taken the trip. They've done all the things. They've, and now they're on the other side trying to help the rest of us through this journey that we're still on. And again, I've got more years behind me than in front of me. And this is why I'm trying to hand these tools to everybody before I end up on the other side. Okay, I'm going to be harder to hear once I'm over there. But that's what they wanted to do tonight. They wanted to talk to you directly about what we can do to remove the blocks in the road. So, it's about building our confidence. It's about getting accountable, at least to our part, and not subscribing to things that are bringing us down. We've got to start reaching for that light, and all of us have a talent that we can bring to the table that is going to be able to be like a baton that we're handing to someone else so that they can run the next leg of the race. So I love the ancestors on the other side, because nothing's worse than getting the other side and going, oh my God, I could have done that so much better or differently. And that's why it's kind of interesting who they are to you when they come through, because you're remembering your grandpa, okay, when he was alive. Now, whether he was a good guy or a bad guy or whatever guy, once you get to the other side, you get to see who you affected, how you affected this world, and all the things that you did when you were ignorant and human. Okay, so they've transcended that. They know way more than we do. They know your journey. They know where you're supposed to go next. And so they're constantly trying to guide us and lead us. But this is why I teach classes on signs and symbols and dreams and all the things, because that's the little tether that we all have that tries to inspire us. Those good ideas that pop in our head, those are inspired. Okay, so those good ideas that pop in your head is a suggestion from the universe. Now, they can't make you do it, but quite often we think it's not because it sounds like us. Okay, it's a knowing, not a hearing. When you get this good idea, you're like, oh, I should do that. And then you go and you don't do it. Okay, that's the universe going, you need to go do this. Okay, or not, but it would behoove you to do it, because then you'll see why later. But we don't have faith. We don't have trust. I have trust. I have faith. Okay, so this is why, for me, delivering these messages, I don't run it through my filter. I've done the hard things. They've told me to do all kinds of crazy things and saved my ass a million times from my own ignorant self back in the day. And so their wisdom is invaluable. So if you've seen me before, I work with very specific guides and ancestors for myself that help me do this work and helped me understand how the other side works so that I can translate that telepathic communication into language for you. So it comes as a vision, it comes as an inner knowing, and this is why I love words, because I try to find the right words, because there's no words with telepathy. So I'm trying to find the right word to describe to you what I'm seeing, what they're trying to say, and that'll resonate with you. Okay. Now, the fun part is tonight isn't always the wow. Okay. The wow is when you hang up and you go back to your evening days and the days to come, and you start to see the evidence of them trying to give you a message. So this is why I teach symbolism. This is why I teach these things, so that you know what to do. That you're not just hoping for the best. That you have this guidance. It's just that we don't trust it, okay? Whereas I trust it implicitly, okay? So, anyway, so let's see who's here tonight. I know that I put out this public thing, but this is kind of like a public channeling event, but it's not very interactive, okay? I'm just here to channel whatever's coming through that wants us to get our shit together, okay, basically. They're like, come on, people. And the fact that you guys follow me, I know you want to, okay? But there's still things in our own lives that are blocking the flow to much better things. So this is why for the last, swear to God, guys, 30 years, I've been saying simplify, okay? Now, when they say the word simplify, okay, that means stop being so dependent on things, okay? Or people that aren't bringing anything to the table, okay? And so when they say simplify, it's about peeling off things, learning to live with just what you need versus, being addicted to buying useless crap. Okay, because trust me, okay, one of the communications is, they thought these things were important and they wanted to leave something behind for their relatives, okay? But when you have to go through these ancestors' things, these things aren't what we want. We want them, not stuff. Okay. And this is why I always say I've never seen a hearse dragging a U-Haul, because they've kept and acquired all these things that they thought were, because people taught them that having things and leaving those things behind is a legacy. Okay. And so again, they don't, things were very important. Well, now that they're on the other side, they don't care about things. They don't care about stuff. All you take with you is love and memories. Okay. And now they're watching us down here have to make peace with all their useless stuff. And some of it is memorabilia. Some of it is memories. But again, guys, I've gained and lost so many things in this lifetime. But again, how much do we really need? Okay. And, how can we stop feeding the thing that is keeping us addicted to whatever? We've stopped learning how to be creative. We've stopped learning how to cook. We've lost the ability to be able to, preserve things for tomorrow. We live for today. And that's part of this, societal thing that we've been taught over a long time. But now we're seeing, that, a lot of truths going on right now about, this, we have to take care of the earth. We have to, take care of our waterways, that, people have, used these things without replenishing. And so, what's most important, and this is really kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. So let's see who's here just for fun. Let me put my glasses on, see who we got. Now this thing scrolls funny, so I might not acknowledge all of you. Hey, Sharon. Well, hi, Sarah. Sarah's the first one in the door. Good to see you. Hi, Jackie. Debbie. Cynthia. Good to see you. I'm grateful for you guys being here. Like I said, this thing scrolls. Hi, Rudy. Hi, Brianne. Hi, Marty. Okay, guys, take notes because they're not going to repeat themselves, okay? And so I'll describe who I'm talking to, and then I may direct it at you directly, okay? Because it might be one of your relatives or ancestors. Hi, Claire. Hey, Mary. Hey, Sue. Good to see you. Hi, Kathy. All right, guys. Hi, Karen. Hi, Sue. Good to see you guys. I love having you here. Okay, so hold on. Let's see who's here. So they don't really have identities anymore. They show us an aspect of who makes us comfortable. Okay. So in my case, my guide, one of the guides that I've been working with this the whole time, comes to me as this very tall indigenous man. Okay. Because for me, that's a very comfortable, thing. Okay. That's one of my spiritual paths, and so they come to me because that made me comfortable. Okay, it's a long story, but we won't get into it. So hold on. So they want me to break this out a little bit. So ancestors are people that were in our timeline that you don't necessarily know. Okay, so this would be like great great grandparents. Okay, then there's relatives, which are people that you may have known. Okay, so these are your aunties, uncles, grandparents, and those folks. Okay, and then we have guides. So what guides are is when we started this journey back on the other side, I said, okay, I'm going into this life and I need to experience a few things, and I need you, and you to be my parents and my relatives and the folks I'm going to meet in the future. And then to my guide, I said, I need you to stay behind and guide me when I forget what I'm doing down there. Okay. So guides are souls that we may have had other lifetimes with that stay behind just to help us. Okay. And then there's other things. There's angelic beings. There's earth spirits. And we won't get into all of it, but there's all kinds of amazing things that are part of that network or collective of the other side. Okay. Or the divine source. So it's all connected. It's all moving and working together. Okay. It's not separate like we are in these bodies. Okay. So my guide is acknowledging everyone. Thank you for coming. He goes, it's funny how humans leak energy and they don't even realize it. So what he means by that is, it's easy to see what's broken or wrong, and as we're noticing these things, we're going through a bit of a grief process. Okay. So when our consciousness gets shifted, okay, you're like, oh my God, that happened. That's going on. Okay. Yes, that's new to you, but it's not new necessarily. Okay. And we're so busy trying to, alert people or make people aware of these things, that we're not seeing why it's happening. It's happening for a purpose. It's happening so we'll do something different. Okay, so again, how to get like this? What can we do differently to change it? Okay, so yes, these things, but we leak energy on the negative stuff because it makes us angry. Okay, or it makes us feel something. And so that process is important, that we can be angry, but again, as we work through that, we can be angry or we can do something about it. Okay. But we have to have that emotional process. That's very important. But we keep regurgitating the same complaining or, over and over and over again. Yeah, it's broke. Okay, it's been broke a long time. So this is the wisdom, guys. It's been broke. This has gone on for a long time, and now it's unchecked. There's no protocols that prevent it from happening because we've all been distracted with, things that don't matter. We don't live in those kinds of communities like we used to. We might live in a city, but the community is where we're all interdependent and working together for a common thing. Sometimes people just, move to a community because it's, safe, they have a house, but they're not necessarily connected to their neighbors and to a lot of the things. Like, for instance, some of the older neighborhoods, you have corner stores, you had a butcher, you had all these people, and all these people brought their talents together to work together. Anyway, we're leaking energy on being angry with this is happening. It is happening, and it's awful. Okay, but what can we do differently? What can I do? What can you do differently? Hold on. So this really funny grandpa's been coming in all day. Okay, since I had this communication this morning, hold on. It's so funny because he kind of, so what he's showing me is Archie Bunker. Okay. He might have had some very, narrow views of things when he was alive. And now he's on the other side going, oh my God, I wish I'd known now what I know then, you know, kind of thing. Hold on. You know, he really thought he knew it all when he was here. Okay. Because he had this like tunnel vision of what he's, you know, how he saw the world. And, but now, he's seeing how wrong that was, how wrong he was. And again, guys, you know, the hard part for them, they don't get mad. They don't have emotions like we do. But they can't, nobody hears you now that you've awakened. Okay. Nobody can hear you. Okay. And so you can't say, oh my God, I was a dumbass. You know, nobody can hear you say that. They still see you as the human being that was here who did what they did, you know? Hold on. I'm not quite sure who he belongs to, but he just wanted to share that awareness is that he had such a limited perspective when he was alive. And now he has a much more comprehensive understanding. And you know, guys, again, we can awaken while we're here. We don't have to wait till we get to the other side to have this awakening to the truth of who we are. Trust me, when you look at who you are and the things we've done in our ignorance, that is not a great day, okay? But we can't change it if we can't acknowledge it, okay? And trust me, the worst place to wake up is over there because you're out of time. You're out of time and nobody can hear you. And that's why they're trying to inspire us to be different. Hold on. I'm not quite sure who this is for. Anyway, he'll let me know later. It's so funny because when he's talking, there's all these other ancestors there and they're all like nodding in agreement. Okay. So Cynthia, your mother is here. Okay. So guys, you know, my people, were subjected to different systems, okay? So my people were from other countries, and they were different religions, and they were brought up in this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You don't change it. It's what your people did. It's what you do. And now you get to the other side and see that, you know, those were limiting. Those were limiting systems, okay? And we're freer of those systems if we choose to be, okay? Because those systems aren't necessarily wanting you to be independent or wanting you to be proactive, but this is the people who taught us this, okay? Anyway, Cynthia, a woman like Mother is here, and she just wants you to know that she's evolved, okay? And so, guys, when the other side pops in your head, okay, that isn't really you thinking of them. That's actually them coming to you, okay? So when your mother pops in your head, it's not your mother anymore. She's better, okay? She just wants you to know that. So sometimes if we didn't have a good relationship with somebody, they may not pop in all the time because we haven't worked through our issues with them when they were alive, okay? And so when they do pop in, it's not all the time. It's just to let you know, I'm here, okay? And this is why we learn how to work through our issues with our relatives and ancestors, so that we can, you know, we can be better. Okay. That's a process. Okay. And that's what grief is. And, you know, and why I do a lot of work with, you know, having traumatic events. So anyway, Cynthia, she just wants you to know that, you know, so she doesn't want you to be her, okay? Guys, we're all finer versions of our parents. Okay, that was a hard mirror for me to look in, is because these are the people that were examples in my life, and we tend to be like our people. Okay, even though I feel like I'm doing it much differently, I am, but still there are these things that we do that are just like them. Oh my God. And again, we want to be their best, and we want to eliminate their worst from our life and personality. Okay. So again, my dad was a handful. He was oppositionally defiant. He never changed anything. He just was contrary. Okay. It was like willful resistance to the systems, but he never left the systems. He let the systems consume him. So he never really made any significant changes. He was just obstinate. So I have that streak. Okay. And I've learned that's not necessarily, that's a lesser behavior, not a greater behavior. And I've had to look at that within myself and look at where I got that from, where I learned that from. Okay. So anyway, Cynthia, she's very proud of you. Okay. Again, guys, we're ending cycles generationally. Okay, so if you guys are following me, you guys are the ones. You're the ones who are being called to change it. Change it, for your kids, for the future people coming from into this world. That we need more leaders and we need more elders. Okay, but again, just because you're old doesn't mean you're an elder. Okay, if when you've walked enough roads and you've learned, that experience becomes wisdom if you learn from it. And this is what's happening. So you guys are the leaders, okay, the elders that this world needs, trustworthy leaders and elders. Okay, but you can't learn it if you don't do it. Okay, so even though I've had a rough road to hoe, I made a lot of choices that made it harder because I was willful and stubborn. And so again, I've learned from that. Okay. So again, this is what we're doing. So all of you that are here tonight are those people who are generationally, getting an opportunity, to change this for your family and people going forward, not just in your own family, in our communities and in our world. We need more elders and we need more, people out there doing the right thing, and again, nobody can deceive you. Once you've deceived yourself and awoken to that, I can spot bullshit a mile away now. Okay. And so again, hindsight is 2020 and we have to look at where we've been. So anyway, hold on. She's very proud of you, Cynthia. But again, be her best and eliminate her worst. Okay. Again, my people, they just suffered. They didn't always change things because they were too afraid. They were too afraid to, and they couldn't. The systems that they were born to wouldn't allow it. Okay. Whereas we're not bound by those same systems, guys. Okay. We're not bound. I'm not bound by, religion. I'm not bound by, the things that we're still fighting for is gender, equalities of kinds, that we don't have to subscribe to these systems anymore. We don't have to. Okay. And once you break through that, you can decide what you want to do without, permission from anybody, and so being autonomous and independent and interdependent with other people is super important. But you're doing great, Cynthia. And I know it's been a hard road, but she's super proud of you. But again, I don't know what that means for you, but don't be me in her lesser way. Okay. So I don't know. It feels like maybe she was tolerant of people that treated her badly, or she never had the courage to go explore her talents and try herself out on the world. We are only limited by our mind, there's, and this is why we can help each other get to these better places. And if we work together. So anyway, hold on. Okay. So Sarah, there's some ancestors that come with that land. Okay. So you may peripherally occasionally see people out in the woods or out there. They come with the property. Okay. So they're protecting the land. and they're very indigenous. Okay, so at first they're checking you out to see if you're walking your talk and you're doing all the things. And so they're grateful for you. They just want you to know, because there were people who take advantage of land and property, okay? And they, guys, I'm telling you, the other side is funny, okay? So if people are doing the wrong thing, they will block things so that they will, it's not haunting, but they will make sure that they get caught in their own trick bag, okay? The things on the other side are protecting the earth, and and people aren't trustworthy, okay? So prior to you, whoever owned those properties were not necessarily caretakers of the land, okay? And so anyway, they trust you, and they just want you to know that they're helping you be successful. Okay, but you got to pace yourself. It's kind of like a dog on a leash, okay? It can walk you or you can walk it, okay? So, again, well, one day at a time, one thing at a time, now it's time to really just take some space and reevaluate what we're doing. So, again, you're only one person, but they just want you to know that is happening. So if you happen to see peripherally people in the woods, okay, or people as you're doing what you're doing, that is them, okay, and they come with the land, okay, and they're caretakers of the land, and they're helping you be successful as a caretaker. So guys, just so you know, you never really own anything. We spend our whole lives acquiring stuff, okay, and because it makes us feel successful or full or whatever, okay? Again, this is what we're taught. But they just want you, guys, you never own anything. Everything, even though you have a house, okay, but the bank owns the house. Unless you pay it off, okay, the bank owns the house. And honestly, we're just caretakers of the things that we own. And they're going to move on and away from us eventually, whether that's things or places or people. Nothing is the same. So how much do we really need? And again, where can we just leave experiences behind? The legacy we leave behind is in the people and the things that we've done to make this a better world. Okay, you don't take the stuff with you. I've never seen a hearse dragging a U-Haul, and the things that you thought were so important in this human world are not, But anyway, they're very proud of you. But again, guys, we're just caretakers of wherever we are. I lived in a 100 and some year old house, okay? It was a convent, it was a bed and breakfast, it was all these things. But that house never changed, okay? But the people that owned it were the caretakers for this short period of time, okay? And that's why, in Buddhist tradition, they will create a mandala through these painstakingly creating these beautiful works of sand art. Okay, they meticulously create this beautiful mandala. And then what they do is they fold the whole thing up when it's finished, and they take it down to the water, and they let it go. Okay, indigenous peoples also have a ritual called the giveaway, the potlatch, where we share what we have. That we give away things because it's sustaining all of us. So, so again, these are rituals that help us realize that these things are impermanent. They're not forever, okay? And so again, what are we leaving going forward? So they want to help you remove the blocks from the road. And so I'm just they're very proud of you, Sarah, but they want you to know that's going on so you're not crazy. Just saying. Anyway, hold on. So there's things on the other side that are always helping us. So houses aren't necessarily haunted. It's old energy that most people feel. But the thing that sometimes ancestral things come with a house, like the big house I had at that time. Even my little house, I had an ancestral thing that was trying to protect us. It's watching out for the people in the house. It's helping guide us. It's helping helping, create a safe place. So they don't just sit on your couch, okay? We're so linear and concrete here. It's a flow. It comes and goes. There's no walls on the other side. There's no houses on the other side. It's just a flow, And so there are things that come with properties and homes that are protecting the inhabitants of the house and protecting the house, So anyway, because that's where people live. And so anyways, so you don't just have your own ancestors and relatives helping you sometimes. We had a number of different things that, we had nuns, like dead nuns that used to live in the house. It was a convent. Okay. And again, they would help, sit with people when they were grieving, or they would, so they were providing spiritual support. Think of it like that. So these ancestral things that come with properties and places are offering us spiritual support as we're living in that place or what goes on in that place, Now we can remove the human energy from it, but we can't get rid of the folks that are helping you, okay? Okay, so Brienne, you have a ton of, I don't want to say a ton. You have a number of ancestral people here, parents, and anyway. So guys, this is why we talk about these cycles. So every 7 years we have this rite of passage. Now we don't even know this happened, but it does, okay? And this is a whole class workshop that I do, okay? And I do this in coaching with people. So as we're evolving and leveling up, we're spiraling up every 7 years, okay? So Brienne, you're coming into this really cool time where you're becoming so solid about who you are. And again, but there's still some grief work that needs to happen, okay? So guys, we have to sit with our feelings, okay? They bubble up like right now, okay? We had a full moon and we have 2 difficult planets retrograde, okay? So everybody's got some emotion bubbling up, okay? Now this is not a time to, let that out at the wrong time. So we don't want to react, but that is something to sit with and process. Okay, so what am I feeling? And who is this directed at? Okay, so now this is another thing, guys. Not everybody has great relationships with their people. Okay, we've been taught don't speak ill of the dead. Okay, but there are some folks who did some things while they were here, and they gave us an experience that was lesser than. Okay, and we have a responsibility to ourselves to process that. Okay, it's not necessarily true or accurate, but it's our feelings, and those get stuck in our body. Okay, so it becomes disease in the body, and because those bodies are connected. So, your people on the other side know who they were. Okay, you are not going to hurt their feelings. Okay, so if you got something to say to them, whether it's I love you, I'm mad at you, fuck you, okay, they're good with that. Okay, because our emotion and letting that out makes room for truth and clarity to come in. Okay, and then we can let it go, release it, and work through it. It's not something you get over, okay? But again, when that bubbles up, we don't have tools for this. Nobody taught us that. That's why I do classes and workshops on that. But anyway, Brienne, I think there's some fine-tuning grief stuff that you might want to sit with because you're evolving up into this next phase, and you're going to be attracted to all kinds of good things, and you're getting really solid confidently about who you are. Okay, that is beautiful. So you've got this whole collective of people who are part of your past, okay, whether it's ancestral or parents or whatever, and they are they're okay, just they want to give you permission to feel what you're feeling. Now this, guys, we don't mail these letters, we burn them, we let it go. You don't necessarily mail it to somebody, okay? Because everybody in your life has been a teacher and they've brought you some awareness about yourself, okay? This is where my teacher, Dave, used to say, take the lesson, Marianne, and let the teacher go. So I had the emotion, and I learned sometimes the villain in the play helps the hero rise. If it wasn't for sometimes these bad treatments, I would not be who I am, and again, so they want you to sit with some things and really just clear this road, because all those experiences are making you really good at what you are and what you're doing. And that is going to start attracting all these really right things. Because, again, Bree, I'm so proud of you. Anyway, they're waving at you. Anyway. Marty, this is from Marty. Marty Brazil. Okay, Marty, your mother's here. She's saying, I'm so sorry I left all that stuff. Okay? Guys, I had a lady, and she had filled her house. When I went to their house, I used to go to people's homes. I went to this lady was 100 years old, okay? She had so much tchotchke on every wall. And it was fine things. These were nice things, okay? But it was a ton of stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know who's going to have to go through all this when she's out of here. But I said to her, I said, maybe, we could start letting these things go and giving these things to people now. She goes, oh no, I'm going to keep filling it up so they have to go through it, so they don't forget me. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, when she got to the other side, oh my God, you realize, oh my God, I was such an asshole. Okay, that's not hell, okay, but it's tough to look at who you were as a human, and now everybody's just stuck with all your... This lady actually had full-size Roman statues in her yard. It looked like the, what's that called, the Acropolis? Oh, it was amazing. Anyway, I thought, oh my God, these poor people. Anyway, anyway, Marty, your mom just wants to say she's sorry for all the things. Guys, when we look at where our people come from, okay, I came from people who were immigrant people who were born in the Depression, where people had nothing, okay? My grandmother used to make rugs out of their old clothes, rag rugs, okay? She made like 80 loaves of bread a week, and so when you had things, when you owned things, that was a big deal, okay? And so, again, they were taught that having those things makes you feel like, you have something. So anyway, but she's sorry she didn't make peace with it beforehand. So I don't know what that means for you, Marty. Hold on. And again, guys, what we leave behind isn't things. It's memories. It's calling somebody up and telling them you're thinking about them. It's the relationships, and, how you made people feel, so that's what she wants you to look at, Marty. You're she loves you so much. But guys, if it doesn't fit, whether it's people or stuff or whatever, thank you. Thank you for coming, but now it's time to gently release those things in gratitude, let it go. Working through it. It's not something you can just bypass, okay? You have to work through it. You don't get over it, okay? But anyway. Okay, so Debbie, there's a man, like a very fatherly man here for you. This is Debbie Gayeska. Guys, you don't have to worry about your people on the other side, okay? Because they're never alone. Okay, I do hospice. I'm with people at end of life. I've been to these things, okay? And I channel people who've taken the trip, okay? So what happens when you leave this body is you're never alone. You always have people with you. So they're always there. It's just that you can't see them until you leave the body, okay? So nobody goes to the other side and then sits there like they're waiting for a bus, hope somebody comes gets me. You're never alone. You're never alone. Okay. So this man, Debbie, just wants you to know you don't have to worry about anybody on the other side, because again, they've got helpers just like you have people helping you in this human world. They have people on the other side helping them too. Okay. And so you don't ever have to worry about them. But our emotion and our grief is very important. Okay. When we're working through those things. But guys, they're more worried about us than we should be about them. Okay. And so again, once you leave this body, you're not alone. They get to go through the process of seeing what the whole thing was about. And then they become part of our stage crew. Okay. But you got to give them a chance to get with the program over there, guys. People don't just pop out of the body and then, sit on a cloud, okay? It's a process. There's a process for them, just like there's a process for us. And we have to be patient, okay? Imagine getting flung out of your body and you're with all these ancestors. You're like, what the fuck happened? What was that about, And now you're working through it, okay? But again, you have to trust that there is a process over there. And I know we want confirmation and we want to feel things and we want, those things, guys. But, they can't right away. They can't always do that to give us comfort. This is why when you understand what goes on, this is why when you finally dream about them or you get a little sign, okay, that's not always from them. Sometimes that's from the people helping them. Okay. But again, we are going through withdrawal when people die. Okay. It's like a withdrawal on your brain. Okay. Just like drugs and alcohol. Okay. Is you're used to seeing this person, in your life all the time, and all of a sudden they're gone. Okay. So when it's sudden or tragic, it's worse. Okay. We work through the process if someone's ill. Okay. We work through a lot of our grief while they're still here. So it's a different grief. It's all different. But when it's sudden or it's tragic, okay, your brain literally goes through like this like blue screen of death, computer-wise. It's trying to create a new normal without this person or this situation. And then it brings up all kinds of emotions. There's a lot to it, guys. It's complicated. But anyway, they just want you to know that this man is helping on the other side, the people that you worry about. And you're doing great. You're doing great. But we, again, that we're giving you the tools so that you can, because it becomes part of who we are, and anyway. And so, guys, what I've also learned is sometimes the things we've experienced become part of our purpose. Okay, so for me, okay, a lot of the experiences that I've had and the stories I share and all of those things are so that I can help you get a message. So when the universe puts a story in my head, okay, that's because it's relatable. Okay. And so I tell you the story, not because I want to talk about myself or where I've been and what I've done. The universe, there's a message in that story for you. Okay. And so this is why I've had so many bizarre ass experiences, because I was going to have to work with all different kinds of people from all different walks of life, every age group, experiencing all kinds of things in this life. So again, I've had to have these experiences so that I can be able to relate and be able to, communicate and give you what you need during that time. So it's not an accident that I've had this crazy life, and I've learned a lot. Okay. A lot. Not always the easy way. Anyway, hold on. And people don't listen to what we say. They watch what we do. Okay. So again, it's a process, and you have to trust the process. So he's waving at you, Debbie. I feel like this might be your dad or grandpa. Anyway, he's a very nice man, and he's kind of badass. So he's got this. Okay, so you guys got to trust. Faith is trust without evidence. Trust there is another thing going on behind the scenes that you can't see. And they got this. They know what they're doing. It's us humans that don't know what the fuck we're doing down here. Okay? And that's why they're always trying to inspire us and give us a good idea or all these things. So anyway, our world is changing, guys. Okay? But we have to just worry about removing the blocks to the things we want in this world. So how do we do that? How do you use your talents to go and do those things? Okay? So for me, it's about connecting people to information. Well, the only way for me to know what's out there is to go out there and look at where those things are and, and who's doing what. A lot of things have changed. There are amazing, nice people out there doing all kinds of good things. Okay. And so again, this is why I try to connect people to community and things out in the community. But you have to venture out on your own. Nothing's scary once you've done it. Once you've done it, you're like, that was easy. Our comfort zone is really not comfortable. Okay. So anyway, hold on. Who else is here? Okay. All right. This is for Mary Melton. You know, there's a thing called guilt by association. Okay. You got to be careful who you hang out with. Okay. Because if I know somebody's doing something harmful or they, I don't align with that. I don't care how fun they are. I don't care how much money they got. If you're not, if that speaks about me, it speaks about my integrity, the people that I align with. Okay, and so people think I'm like that. All right, so I appreciate that. We have acquaintances and then we have friends. Okay, and I do this whole class where we break out all the relationships and how we define those. Okay. So again, Mary, they just want to caution you about some of the people that you know. You want to make sure that they're the kind of people that, or it's about checking ourselves and seeing, maybe we need to, change our perspective or how we look at things, But anyway, they're cautioning you about some of the people that you know that are not necessarily a good alignment for you. So keep that in mind. Guys, really, it's interesting. The energies that we align with tell the universe who we are. That's our character. Okay. Now, I'm not saying, no, you can be acquaintances with people. All right. But I'm not going to, invite you necessarily. I mean, I have to deal with all different kinds of people. Okay. We have to deal with all different kinds of people. And nobody's bad or good. We get caught in that. There's just people that are different and that think differently or were brought up differently. But that doesn't mean that, I'm necessarily going to compromise myself to be in some kind of a situation with them, whether it's business, personal, or even just, again. So again, we need to hold ourselves to us, our character. Because at the end of the day, guys, beauty fades and all you got is your character, okay? And so people look at who and what you align with, and it tells them your character. It doesn't speak about the other person, it speaks about you, okay? So again, that's where we got to really start looking at who and what are we aligning with, because that sends a message, not only to the universe, but to other people. And again, if we're building trusting relationships, we've got to be trustworthy. And so again, nobody's perfect. Okay. But, yes, guilt by association, that happens. Hey, Denise. Denise, it's so funny. There's an elderly lady here and she said that you need to teach this hobby that you have. Okay. This thing that you're really good at. I almost feel like it's almost like culinary. Okay. But you've got to kind of teach that to someone else. One of our followers on here, who's a good friend of mine, her name is Dolores Gray. Dolores owns a nonprofit called Brick House Wellness. Okay. She used to do, and she's very busy right now, but she's working in the sector. But she used to do after school cooking classes with kids so that they could go home and be able to make themselves a little something, or for their siblings or for themselves. And so she used to teach them simple meals to make, that they could do by themselves with just a microwave or whatever, or showed them how to use pots and pans and things like that. Anyway, that's the vision that's popping in my head, Denise, that whatever talent you have, that you need to do some kind of a workshop. Guys, you wouldn't believe how many 20-somethings people who don't know how to cook or don't know how to, prepare foods. Like, it's amazing. I mean, so again, I was thinking, like, I used to do literacy. I used to work for the Literacy Coalition as a volunteer, and I used to help teach functionally illiterate adults to read. And I used to do that after work once or twice a month. So there's something that we can always do to help somebody level up. I wanted to teach a cursive class. Okay, guys, I pride myself on my handwriting. Okay, my mother had beautiful handwriting, and again, it's easier and faster. In fact, when you bring things out of your head onto paper, it reinforces it. It also tells the universe, when you're taking concept into physicality, that speaks to the universe too. Okay, so what I thought, we need to teach cursive. All of our historical documents are in cursive. Okay, nobody can read that stuff. Okay. So again, I have cards from my aunties who wrote me notes. And so again, this is the stuff, guys. What talent you have that you can bring into the world that's going to help somebody be self-sufficient or independent or, anyway, that's where I'm at, Denise. There's something that you're supposed to be doing with your talent that you're supposed to share with other people. It was so funny. I used to teach a knitting class. I can't knit. Okay. All I can knit is square things. Okay. But if you knit for a short time, it's a pot holder. If you knit a long time, it's a scarf. Now, if you want more, you'll have to find another teacher. Okay. But I can at least get you started. Guys, you don't have to be an expert to teach. Okay. What you know, teach what you know. And anyway, Denise, I think that, that would be a wonderful thing for you to connect you with, what you can leave somebody. The lady who taught me how to knit was at the beauty shop I worked at when I was a kid. Okay. In fact, she was sitting under the dryer and I was watching her knit and I thought, God, that's fascinating. So I was sitting on the ottoman in front of her. So I knit backwards and left-handed. Okay. Because I was mirroring her. She showed me one time how to cast on, how to knit, and I've known how to knit ever since then. Okay. But I can't make anything fancy. But I can make a pot holder and a scarf. I've made lots of scarves for people. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying, guys. That one woman taught me that. And she wasn't a relative. She was just some cute little old lady that used to come in the salon every Saturday, And so I learned from her. It takes a village. It really does. So anyway, hold on. So the gang is saying, don't be distracted. Guys, there is so much that's being pumped out to keep people distracted. Okay, that's trying to grab your attention away from solutions. Okay, so you got to shut it off. You don't notice, don't look, again, we've got to get out here with people. So I'm going to be doing a lot more things out in the public, and I need you guys to show up. Okay, I'm not afraid to go somewhere alone. Okay, it was funny because I had a friend who one time was going to meet me. Jared had a gig. And she's like, where are you at? I said, I'm on my way. And she goes, well, I'm waiting for you in the parking lot. I go, go in. Okay. Jared's in there. He's a teenager. Go in there. And so anyway, guys, the parking lot was more dangerous than going in this bar by yourself. Okay. I'm not afraid to go anywhere alone. Okay. Really. I mean, again, as I'm getting older, I think I'm as, badass as I used to be, but I am limited sometimes. And people look at me and think, oh, she's just some old lady, they may find out otherwise when they introduce themselves. But you have to realize, guys, that, there's very little risk out there. Okay. You just gotta show up. You just gotta step through your comfort zone. And if you get an invite, just go. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Sharon, you've got relatives. Sharon Kapranica. Sharon, your relatives are giving you permission to let go of that stuff that you're holding on to. Guys, if you're holding on to recipe books or you're holding on to memorabilia and you don't know what to do with this stuff, okay, make a recipe book and give it to somebody. Give it to the kids. The giveaway, okay? Guys, they don't care. Even if they told you, don't ever let go of this, that doesn't mean you have to hang on to it. Let's give it to somebody in the family who's going to be able to honor it or use it or just graciously let it go. But your people, Sharon, are giving you permission to get rid of that stuff that you've been holding on to that makes you feel like you can't let it go, okay? They don't care. You can throw it all in a chipper shredder. Really, they don't care. Okay, but they don't want you encumbered with their things. Okay, now guys, sometimes people end up leaving you with like cremated remains. Okay, the finishing that comes with releasing remains is very important part of the grief process, the letting go part, and that's why a lot of people have a hard time doing that. So if anything's coming up tonight that you guys want to talk more about or schedule a session, okay, call me, 216-324-2657. The only way for us to change this world is you guys are changing your world. We're not subscribing to this dumb stuff that we were taught our whole life. You don't have to do half of it, if any of it. And the more we contribute to it, it keeps existing. So we want to simplify so that we're not dependent on these systems that are hurting us and other people. Okay? So again, we're all going through this process because good things are coming, guys, but the other side can't manifest, reveal new things if we still are doing things the old way. Okay, so the minute you make a shift and change, instantly new things appear. You're like, oh my God, how wonderful. So anyway, all right. Nicole, you've got this elder lady here, Nicole Sinclair. Okay, you got to stop complaining. Think about complaining like a slow leak in a tire. Okay? And when you complain, it leaks energy rather than just zipping it and doing something. Go plug it up and let's get back on the road. Okay? Oh my God. You give me a call. We'll have to schedule some time. But it's just really funny. So stop complaining. Okay? We chose it, or it's part of why you're here. And again, stop complaining. It's like a leak in a tire. Okay? Anyway, this lady's waving at you. She's been trying to get you this message. But again, guys, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. Okay? There's a lesson in it. Just take the lesson and let it go. What did I learn from that? Okay. Oh my God. You're so funny, Nicole. That's hilarious. All right. Hey, Rudy. Oh my God, Rudy, you know, your dog is with you all the time. Okay? So guys, it was very funny. When I had the big house, okay, one night I was laying in bed and we had a dog, okay, Gibby. He is a dachshund, okay? But I heard this man say, get up, like that, okay? And the minute I got up, I heard somebody outside trying to break in the house, okay? I stuck down to that back door in the dark, okay? So, and I scared the living crap out of this homeless guy that thought he was, I don't know where he thought he was, but I came up in the dark with a baseball bat and I'm like, what are you doing? And it scared the living shit out of this guy. He almost fell off the porch. Anyway, he's like, oh my God. Anyway, yeah, sometimes the universe gives you a heads up. So, Rudy, that when the dog barks, like you thought you heard a dog bark, that actually is your dog, okay? And he's just, you know, anyway, they're always still helping us. Anyway. He misses playing fetch. Maybe you need to get back out there more physically, you know, playing or throwing things. Maybe you need to go, you know, play with the dogs at the APL or whatever, you know. You'd be a good dog friend. You don't have to bring them home with you, but you can go and walk them and play with them and throw the ball. And yeah, you need some exercise, it says. Like throwing the ball. Oh my God, that's funny. All right, kids. I'm so grateful for all of you. So guys, our job is to remove the blocks in the road to new things. Okay? Just so you know, the harder thing to do is usually the better thing to do. So the thing you're avoiding is the thing that's blocking the road. Okay? So they're trying to give you inspiration. They're trying to give you ideas. And whether we take those ideas and suggestions is up to us. Okay? But just do it. Okay? That's the magic. Okay? We've got this entire arsenal of things that are trying to heal this world. And you guys specifically, I know you've been places and you've had things happen. Okay? But I'm telling you, you're leaders. You were leaders in training. Okay? And now that we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, you can't be deceived. You know, you're, you know, and when we do that, amazing things happen. So it's about bringing it together, creating those bridges, you know. The only way to build a bridge is get in the water, okay? It takes somebody willing to stick their hand out or to show up or to, you know, and what are we aligning with? Okay, there's a lot of people doing good things out there. And so we can use our voice, we can use the power of the pen, we can use making phone calls, we can solicit donations. There's all kinds of cool things that you can do. Teach somebody something, you know. There's ways to do that. And again, we all have talents that we can still share and leave this world better than we found it. So I'm so grateful for you guys tonight. Kim, thanks for joining me. You guys are amazing. And Jason said, my sister and I learned to cook for ourselves because we were latchkey kids. I was baking Toll House cookies on my own when I was 11. Right. You know, I was cooking for my family when I was 12 years old. Okay, and it was so funny because my brother said, "Oh, thank God you started cooking, Marianne. Our meals got way better." Okay, my mother was not a great cook. Okay, and I learned my sister and I learned how to cook. Susie makes the most killer meatloaf I've ever had. Okay, and I still can't duplicate that. But yeah, guys, we got to empower people to be self-reliant. Okay, these systems don't want people self-reliant. They want them dependent so they can hold them down. Okay? Again, don't contribute. Stop contributing. And this is what we can do. We can all leave this world better than we found it. You just got to use your talents and find somebody out there, that you can help. And there's a lot of good people out here. So if you come to an event or you see these folks online, these are amazing people. Look them up. Friend each other. Sarah's here all the time. Rudy's here all the time. Sarah has a working farm in West Virginia. Okay. She teaches, sustainability, she brings kids out for, after school projects and camps. I mean, she's amazing. I've known Sarah for, oh, Jesus, I hate to say that out loud. And, but I've known Sarah for like 40 years. Okay. Girl. I mean, really, if we sat here and told you stories, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. Anyway, guys, if you get anything out of these things, just go onto my Venmo and leave me a little something, okay? This work is important, and I need to be out in this world doing these things too. And, I love inspiring you. So schedule some time. When you guys schedule time with me, whether that's a party or a gathering or a class, that helps me be able to do this with people who just are in a bad place, okay? Like when, people have these tragic things happen, I don't charge for that, okay? It's awful. And this is the ministerial part of what I do. So if you get a value out of this, every little bit you do keeps the lights on here, and trust me, these utilities are not cheap. And allows me to put gas in the car and to drive people places and to go and drop off donations and, just to meet up with folks. So yeah, I'm grateful. It really, it takes a village, and I'm so grateful that you're part of mine. Anyways, Sharon Kincaid. Good to see you. I'm so grateful for you guys. Hey, Kayla. Yeah, so take notes, guys. These messages are for all of us. That's why when you come to these channeling events, you not only get your own message, you get to hear all these messages. You leave here feeling like you changed the world, okay? And that's what we can do. If you change your world and I change my world, the whole world will change, okay? But we got to stop contributing, okay? We heard a lot of really great things tonight, and I'm so grateful for all of you. You guys are amazing. So anyway, don't stay away. Take a class. Schedule some time with your family and friends. That way you're all on the same page. That you're a little village, and you can do so many amazing things together. So let's connect the dots. I'm in. All right? You guys have a wonderful evening. Keep the peace. Pray for our world. And let's be those agents of change. Okay? I love you.